We begin today the Gemara on Daf Lamed Vav, Amud Aleph, 2 lines from the top of the page, where it says, Hayu Shneim Shalish Echad. This is going back to the Mishnah that speaks about the rule of a Maitzi Mechaveri Olav Araya. When you have a Nizik that's demanding payment for damages that happened, but he can't prove exactly what the damages were, or he can't prove that this animal damaged him. So then, the Mazik doesn't have to pay. But the Mishnah says, if there were 2 oxen that were running after his ox, and one of them gored and damaged his ox, and it's not clear which one, so then if this mazik is the owner of both of these oxen, so then even though it's not clear which one of them damaged this person's ox, but he has to pay because he's the owner of both of them. So the lashon of the Mishnah was, Hayishneim shalish echad, both of these oxen belong to the same mazik, the same person, then shneim chayavin, so he's going to be chayav for the damages that happened, because either way, it's his, so he's responsible. Amalei Ravim Mifarzike l'Ravashi. So Ravim Mifarzike asks Ravashi the following. Now here, the Gemara's question is going to be based on the fact that what are we talking about here? We're talking about 2 oxen that damaged, that the payment here is like the payment of a tam. They were both tamim. How do you get paid from the damage of a tam? The payment comes from the body of these animals themselves, migufay. You don't pay the cash out of your pocket or from any properties you own. It comes from the animals themselves. So here it's saying, we don't know which ox is the one that gored and damaged, but nevertheless, you get paid either way. So he said, if so, Shmami, no, what you see from here is, Shvarim tamim sheiziku. When you have oxen, and they're both tamim, and one of them damaged, and we don't know which one it is, Ratza mizeh goive, so the nizik can come and collect his payment from one, or Ratza mizeh goive, or if he wants, he can come and collect the payment from another. If he doesn't know which one it is, so then he can collect from one or the other. So this is basically a question, because why should that be so? If your right to collect is only from that animal that damaged you, so then you have to know which one it is. If you don't know which one it is, which one could you collect from? Says the Gemara, in this case of the Mishnah, you know what it's talking about? B'muadin. It's not tamen, it's muadin. What's the halacha by muadin? Muadin is you get paid from the mazik, from cash or from the best properties that he has. The payment doesn't come from the body of the animals. So therefore, if you know for a fact that one of the animals that this mazik owns damaged, so either way you're going to get paid. It has nothing to do with these animals themselves. If the Mishnah is talking about that these animals that damaged are muadin, so you're getting paid full pay from the person themselves. Aim is safer. What's the next case in the Mishnah there? One of the next cases, it said, you had one large ox that was running and could have damaged, or there was a smaller ox that could have been the one that damaged. And now there's an argument between the nizik and the mazik, which one of these 2 damaged? Hanizik aimer, the nizik says, Gadol hizik. It's the larger ox that damaged. Why is he saying this? Because if we're talking about a tam, the payment comes from that animal itself. So he's saying, it's the larger ox that damaged, so I'm going to get more payment. But the mazik says that's not what happened. Loiki, elokotten hizik. It was the smaller ox that damaged, and therefore you get much less, because in the smaller one there's only much less value that you can get for payment. And that the Mishnah said, so because there's this argument between the mazik and the nizik, that if the nizik wants to get more payment, he's going to have to bring proof for this. But the question is, if, like you just said, the Mishnah here is talking about that the payment is not coming from the shoyer hamazik itself, it's not coming migufay. He has to pay from his pocket, cash, or the best of his properties. What difference does it make to the nizik which one of these oxen is the one that did the damage? He gets full payment from the money of the mazik. So why is the Mishnah bringing here this case that there's a difference if it's the gadol that was mazik or the cotton that was mazik? So he answered him, you're right over here, Sefer betamen. The Sefer of the Mishnah has to be talking about a case that the animals that gored and damaged are tamen, and the payment is coming from the shvarim, the oxen themselves. And the Reisha b'muadin. The Reisha is talking about in the case of muadin where it doesn't matter which one damaged, and therefore you get the payment from the person himself. So Gemara, however, does not accept this pshat. Am l'Rav Achasabe l'Ravashi. So Rav Achasabe said to Ravashi, if the ratio of the Mishnah is talking about where the animals that gored are muadin, so then why does it say in the Mishnah a plural term, chayovim? Why does it say chayovim, which would mean that both of these oxen are chayiv, meaning because you're not sure which one of them you're collecting from? Why does it use the term they are chayiv? The chayiv does not go on the payment, the collection of the payment does not come from the body of these animals that were mazik. Chayiv gabra mi boyale. The Mishnah should use a singular term, chayiv, and it goes on the person that he has to pay for the damages that one of his oxen caused, and the payment comes from him, from his pocket or from his property. It's nothing to do with the animals. Another question is, my shneim. Why does the Mishnah say the term shneim chayavim, referring to the two oxen that damaged? If it's a mu'ah, it has nothing to do with them. It says the Gemara, elo lo'olam betamin. So we go back to the previous pshat, that the Mishnah here, even in this case, is talking about that these animals are tamin. Okay? And the Rabbi Kiva, our Mishnah is following over here the opinion of Rabbi Kiva. And so the point here that the Gemara is going to explain over here is, in the beginning, the Gemara thought that the pshat over here is, when it says in the Mishnah that you collect from both of them, what it means is that the nizik can say, since it's not clear which ox is the one that gored, if he wants, he can take from one, he can collect the value from one, or he can collect the value of the damage from another. It's a choice. That the Gemara asked, how could he collect from either one? He doesn't know which one it is. So the Gemara now is explaining different. When it says over here, shneim, what it means is, only if both of these oxen are here, are still present, then he's going to be able to collect his damage. But if both oxen are not present, he's not going to be able to collect his damage. And why is this? This is Rabbi Kiva's opinion. What's Rabbi Kiva's opinion? So just to remind you, we had before Rabbi Kiva and Rabbi Shmuel that argue regarding the payment that comes from the guf of the shayr of the mazik. According to Rabbi Shmuel, the value of what you pay is based on the value of the body of this shayr. But the actual payment, the mazik himself pays, and it's just like a regular bal choiv that owes money and here he owes money for the damage. But according to Rabbi Kiva, the moment the shayr of mazik is mazik, the nizik becomes a partner in the actual shayr itself. It belongs to him partially. That's the meaning of the collection of the payment that comes from the guf of this shayr itself. So therefore, according to Rabbi Kiva, Rabbi Kiva says that the mazik and the nizik now become partners in the ownership of this shayr that was mazik. So therefore, only if both of these oxen are here, then the lemotzi matchile. So then the mazik can't push him off and say, who says you're a partner in this ox? If there were two oxen, and we don't know which one is the one that gored and damaged, and one of them got lost, there's just one here. So the nizik stands and says, I am a partner now with you in this ox here. The mazik will tell him, who says you're a partner in this ox? Maybe it's the other one that gored and damaged. So then he can't ever claim partnership in it. But if both of them are here, then either way, the nizik that is, turns to the mazik and says, I am a partner with you in one of these oxen. So if you're going to sell them, if you're going to sell both of them, and whatever money you get for it, in one of them, I'm a shutif for the damages that happened to me. So then he can't push him away. But if you don't have both of them here, so then the mazik tells the nizik, bring a raya that you're a partner in this one, in this ox here, and then I'll pay you your share. You'll get your partnership in this. But until you don't prove to me that you're actually a partner in this ox, you're not going to get paid. That's why the Mishnah says this expression of shneim chayavim, that when are you going to be chayiv? Only if shneim are present, because then you can claim a partnership. Otherwise, you're not going to be chayiv. Now, this is all according to Rabbi Kiva, but according to Rabbi Shmuel says you don't become a partner in the actual ox itself. Based on the value of the damage that happened, that you evaluate how much there is in these animals, now the mazik himself has to pay you. So whether both oxen are present or not, you don't lose your right to collect that money, that payment from the mazik himself. So therefore, you don't have to have shneim present over here to claim your partnership in the body of the animal itself.
But even if they're both present, you can only collect when he sells both of them.
Could be, anachanami. True. Right, anachanami, you'll have to sell both of them, right, correct. B'chlal, always, whenever you collect from the body of the animal itself, you don't cut the animal itself in half. V'chotzu es kaspa, it says in the pasuk, they sell it and then you get half of the money. So over here, when you have both of them, so he's able to get his partnership. Hadron alocha meniach, this is the conclusion of the third Perek of Masechta Bava Kama. The beginning of the next Perek begins also with continuing these halachas of the payment of a shor shenogach, specifically regarding a tam, where the collection of the payment comes from the actual body of the shor hamazik itself. Shor shenogach arba v'chamisha, a case where an ox gored and damaged 4 or 5 times. Arba v'chamisha shvarim, 4 or 5 oxen, zeh achazeh, one after the other. And here the case of the Mishnah, as Rashi explains, is all of these cases when the shor gored and damaged, this shor was a shor tam, where the collection comes from the body of the animal itself. Now you may ask, how is it possible that it should be a shor tam after it gores 3 times, it becomes a muad? Now it has to pay full pay, and here it says 4 and 5 times, it still is a tam. So Rashi explains, we'll see in the Hamshach of this Pedic, that it is possible when the shor gored once, and then it saw another shor and it did not gore, and then it saw another few times and it didn't, and then it did, and sometimes it did, sometimes it didn't. There was no consistency. In order to become a shor muad, it's not only enough that it gores 3 times, but it has to be a certain consistency in the way it's goring that it becomes a shor muad. So over here, it did not have that kind of consistency, as we'll see later in this Pedic, and therefore it's a shor tam for all these times that it gored and damaged. So now this person, his shor gored 4 or 5 times, so all these people want to collect their damages from the body of this ox over here that gored and damaged. So Yishalem la'achrein shebehem, the last one that got damaged, he's the one that gets paid. And now, v'im yesh meiser, in yesh boy meiser, if there's a remainder of a value for what the other ones got damaged, yachzel l'shalafonov, then the one before will get his payment. V'im yesh boy meiser, if after the one before got paid already, there's still remainder for a value of to pay what's the one before him, yachzel l'shalafneifonov, the one that's before him will get paid. So the one that got damaged last, he's the one that has the right to collect his damages first, and only if there's left over, the one before him gets paid, and if after that there's left over, you go to the one that's even before him. That's the order of how you pay. The one that's the last, he's the one that gains, he's the one that gets paid first. This is Rab Meir's opinion. Now, this obviously needs an explanation, because you would think that it should be the other way around. The one that got damaged first is the one that has the right to collect first, and then if there's remainder, then you go to the next, and to the next. You would think the first one is the one that should get paid. Okay, the Gemara will explain who Rab Meir goes according to what's this based on. Rab Shimon says regarding this case, it works as follows. So if you have an ox that was worth 200 zuz, and it gores another ox that's worth 200 zuz, and the nevela has no value at all, which means that the value of the damage is 200 zuz. Okay, so now, this opinion here of Rab Shimon, as we'll see here in the continuation, and the Gemara explains, is based on Rabbi Akiva's opinion. What's Rabbi Akiva's opinion that we just learned? That the moment your shor is mazik someone, tam, now the nizik has a partnership of the value of his damage in this animal itself. So in this case, once it was mazik someone, and now there was the hezek was 200 zuz, what happens? Zeh neitul maneh and v'zeh neitul maneh. So now, in the value of this shor hamazik, they're shutfim. He has ownership. The mazik has ownership of a maneh, and the nizik got a partnership as well. He has ownership of a maneh. So he collects that maneh right away. It's automatic. It's automatic transfer of ownership that he gets a maneh in it. Now this ox that's now owned by a partnership of these two people, now went and got another ox that's worth 200, and now it caused that damage of 200. So now the second person that got damaged, ha'achrein neitul maneh, so he takes half of the payment, chatzi nezek, and where does the payment come from? From the body of this animal itself that gored and damaged. So now he gets an ownership of 1 maneh. Now the two owners, the partners that were owners before in this ox, each one owned 100. Each one of them has to pay half of the value of what they owned in this ox. So if one was the owner of 100, another one is the owner of 100, so they pay each half of that, and they each lose 50. Okay, so therefore each one is only left with 50 of this ox. Now this happens a third time. Now this ox, which is again owned by the last person, he got half of it. He owns 100. And the previous two, the original owner owns 50, and the first nizik owns 50. So there's 3 partners here now in this animal. And now this animal went and gored another time. Shor acher shavim Messiah, it gored a third time, worth an ox that was worth 200, and now the damage is 200. So now what's going to be? The last one, he got damage here from this ox. And the payment that he deserves is chatzi nezek, which is 100. So ha'achrer neitul maneh. The last one, he gets a maneh for his payment. Now, how much do the ones before get? So they were all partners in this ox that damaged, and each one is going to have to pay according to his share. V'shalafanov, the one before him, so he had an ownership in this ox of 100, so now he has to pay half of that for the last nizik. So chamishim zuz, he's going to be left just with 50. He had a half ownership in his ox, so therefore he has to pay over here 100. So when you pay 100, he's going to be left only with half of that, half of the 100 that he owned, which is only 50. Shnai marishainim, and then the previous two owners, they at the time when the last damage took place, how much ownership do they have in this ox? Only 50. So their payment is going to be half of that, and they're going to be left with 25. Shnai marishainim din zav. The first two owners, they're going to be left just with a din zav, which is 25 zuz. Right, so therefore, the point is very simple. Each one of them has a partnership in this ox that damages. They all are going to have to pay their share for the payment. This is again based on the shitta of Rabbi Akiva that says that the moment the ox damages, the nizik becomes a partner in the ox itself, and you get the portion of partnership based on how the story unfolds over here, as we saw in the Mishnah, and then you have to pay only according to that amount. So the Gemara masnisan mani. Who is the Mishnah going according to? Okay, so Rab Shimon's opinion is explained and it's clear. It goes according to Rabbi Akiva. But the question over here is Rab Meir, the beginning of the Mishnah. He says that the Achrein, the last one, is the one that gets everything. And then he says if there's Meiser, it goes back to the one before. But the last one is the one that gains. Who is that going according to? Says the Gemara, the Loike Rabbi Shmuel or the Loike Rabbi Akiva. It doesn't follow Rabbi Shmuel's opinion that says that the payment by a short tam is not that the nizik automatically becomes a partner. It's just that the mazik has to pay like a balchayv based on the value of the body of this animal, but it's like a balchayv. It's not like Rabbi Shmuel and it's not like Rabbi Akiva either. Rabbi Shmuel, because if we would follow Rabbi Shmuel's opinion, what would Rabbi Shmuel say regarding such a case when you have an ox that gored once, twice, 3, 4, 5 times? What would be the halacha? Rabbi Shmuel says every time you damage, so the mazik is like a balchayv, he owes money. There's no partnership that the nizik has in the animal itself. If so, hi, achrein niskar, you're saying that it's the last one that is the one that has the right to collect all his damages first. It should be the other way around. Rishon niskar mibayale. It's the first one that should be the one that's gaining. He should be the one that's able to collect first. Anytime a person owes money to a few people, who's the one that has the right to collect first? The one that he owes the money to first, that borrowed the money first. If there's leftovers, then the next one that he owes money to could come and collect. So the first nizik is the one that he owes the money to first. He should be the one that could collect based on the value of the body of this animal. If there's leftovers, then the next one and the next one. Why does it say in the Mishnah the other way around? On the other hand, if we're following the opinion of Rabbi Akiva, that the moment this ox over here gores, so now the nizik becomes a partner in the actual animal itself. So as Rab Shimon explained in the Mishnah, what that means is any future times that this animal gores, it's now an animal of partnership. So if so, yesh by Maisa. What is the Mishnah? What does Rab Meir say? That if the last one gets paid first, but then, if there's any leftovers, then yachser l'shalafonov, whatever leftover there is, so the one before him will take all of that payment. And the ones before him will lose out. He'll just get the leftovers and no one else gets anything. If there's still leftovers after he's fully paid, then it goes to the one even before him. That's what Rav Meir said. But the question is, why is that so? It should be like Rav Shimon said. What did Rav Shimon say? The Bacher adds one word. Yachser l'kulam mibayale. All of them should get their portion based on their partnership in this animal. Like Rab Shimon explained, that since each one of them are partners, each one has to only pay half of the damages based on his partnership, and he's still left with half, whether he gets 25, whether he gets 50, but you get something. You can't say you get nothing. So why is Rab Meir saying that the last one gets first, and he takes his full damage, and then the one before, if there's leftovers, takes his full damage, and we don't give it to the ones before? According to Rabbi Akiva, they're all partners. They all should get a certain share based on the amount of partnership that they have. Amar Rava, so Rava answers, Loilam ka Rabbi Shmuel. Really, Rabbi Meir does follow Rabbi Shmuel's opinion, the Amar Balichovis Ninu, that all of the ones that get paid, the mazik is just it's Balichovis. He has to pay like a loan that he owes money. And therefore, they're not partners. And when this animal damages, it's not an animal of partnership now that damaged. So the question you asked was, Niska, why is Rab Meir saying that the last one is the one that gains? He's the one that collects first his damages. And Risha Niska mi boile. It should have said that the one that got damaged first, he should be the one that has the first right to collect his damages. So explains, Ravina says, Rava that it says, in the case of here is, the nizik grabbed this ox to collect his share from it. The nizik, even though Rabbi Shmuel says that the payment he doesn't have a partnership in the actual ox itself, but he was afraid that maybe the mazik is not going to pay him, so he went and possessed the ox itself. So now after he possesses the ox itself, so now the original owner doesn't have any responsibility for any damages that this ox causes, because now it's in the possession of the nizik. He took possession over it. So v'nasa olav k'shei misachar l'nizakin. So now he becomes like a shei misachar. He possessed it. He has to guard it and he has to take care of it. He's a shei misachar. Why is he a shei misachar? For the nizakin. He took hold of it because that's how he's going to get his payment for the damages that he was damaged. So therefore, he's not stam guarding it. He's guarding it with a certain gain that he wants to get his payment from here. So he's now the shei misachar, which means now that any damages that happens, who's responsible for this? Not the original owner. This nizik that took possession over it is going to be responsible. So therefore, now what happened when this animal damaged a second time? So the first nizik is responsible. Then what happened was the second nizik also went and took possession over it. And then when it damages another time, a third time, it's the second nizik that's responsible. And then when it happened a fourth and fifth time, each time that it damaged, each one of them went and took possession over it for himself. So therefore, he's the one that's responsible. So therefore, what it comes out is that the last nizik is the one that gets the payment. The other ones before don't get any payment. Why? Because the ones before, they took possession over it, and now they're responsible for the damages that it caused. The last one, he's not responsible for anything. He's the last one that got damaged. He didn't take possession over it, and it didn't damage after he took, or even if he took possession over it, it didn't damage yet again. So therefore, he's the one that collects. Okay, if that's the pshat there, if so, yesh by meiser. So what did the Mishnah say now? What does Rabbi Meir say? That the last one is the one that gets paid because all the ones before are responsible for the damages that happened. They took possession of it. But now he said if there's any leftovers of what the last one collected, what happens now? Yachsel shalafanov. So then you pay the ones before. The question is, why do you pay the ones before? The original owner of this ox should be the one that should get the other part of this ox that we don't pay the last one. All right, so let's say if the last one, in the case of the Mishnah, this ox was worth 200 and the damage of the last ox that got damaged was also 200. So he gets half. Half of it belongs to him. And the other ones in between shouldn't get anything. Why? Because they took possession of it and they were the ones that were supposed to guard it and they caused this damage. So they don't get any payment. But the original owner, he should be getting the other 100. The original owner is only responsible for the first damage that happened. And for the first damage that happened, he has to pay 100 for the first person that he damaged. The other 100, he can still keep for himself. Now, all other damages that happen in between, he's not responsible for. So the last one should get his payment of 100. The other 100 goes back to who? To any of the people in between? No, the people in between, they're responsible for the damage that happened over here. It's the original owner, he should be the one that should be getting his 100. So why are we saying that it goes back to Lefonov, to the ones before? So the Gemara explains, Omer Ravina said, Hachi Ketani, this is what the Mishnah means to say. If the case over here is that the last one that got damaged, his payment for his damage is not a full 100. If it was the last one that got damaged was out of this share that's worth 200, his damage was 100, so then he gets that full 100, and the other 100 goes back to the first one. And the ones in between that took possession over this animal get nothing. Yeah, that would be true. But the case over here is when the last one that gets paid, the damage of his ox was much less. Let's say his damage was, he only gets a payment of 25. So therefore now there still is remainder of that 100 that could go to the people before that damaged. When they took possession over it, even though they're taka responsible, they took possession and therefore they have to pay because they were sachar, but nevertheless there is still a remainder even of that 100 that they could still get their payment. The original owner only gets back 100. He doesn't get more than 100. Why? Because after that 100, he was responsible to pay to the first person that he damaged. But within that other 100 that the last one gets paid, the last one's damage was not the full 100. So then we say that if there's Maisa bin Zakav, if there's still leftovers from the payment of the last one, Yachsa l'shalafonov. So then the ones before could collect the payment. But Tanachanami, from the original 100 that's owned by the original owner, he's going to get that 100 because after the first damage, he's not responsible for any of the damages that happened afterwards because the other people, they took possession over this ox.
Then it can be 200 and 200.
Yeah, and a chanami. So that's not. So the case that the Mishnah says 200, that's not. When it says that you go back to the before, it's not a case of 200 when the damages kept on happening. It's a different. The damages was much less.
Some of them might not get anything out of it.
Yeah, correct. Some might not get anything, right? Okay, so now the Gemara says, "V'chen ki asa Ravin, Omer Rabbi Yechanan." Ravin also said in the name of Rabbi Yechanan that this is the pshat in the Mishnah here. Mishum pshias sheimrim naguba. When it said in the Mishnah, Rabbi Meir says in the Mishnah that the last one is the one that gets the payment, and the ones before don't. Even though we're following Rabbi Shmuel's opinion, and according to Rabbi Shmuel, the first ones should get paid. The reason is because the first ones took possession over it, so therefore they become like Sheimrin, and they're responsible for the damage that happens, and therefore the last one is the one that gets paid. Says the Gemara, so Nabamaya Kimte, so how did we explain our Mishnah? Rabbi Shmuel. Rabbi Meir, in the beginning of the Mishnah, so he's following Rabbi Shmuel's opinion. If so, aim is safer. What did it say in the next part of the Mishnah? Rab Shimon's opinion. Here the Gemara quotes the whole opinion of Rab Shimon. Explained it already in the Mishnah. Rab Shimon oime shei shavim mesayim shenogach shei shavim mesayim ve'en anavela yafa klum zen noitel mana v'zen noitel mana. After the first damage happens, so then they split this shoyer hamazik, and now the partners half and half. So now the second one that got damaged, he gets a mana for his damages. The ones before now split their ownership, and each one gets 50. And then it happened yet again. The last one takes a mana of and then the one before gets 50, and the two partners before, they end up just with 25. That's the way Rab Shimon explained this. Now, according to whose opinion does this arrangement of payment go? This all follows Rabbi Akiva's opinion. That this ox, the moment it gores and it's a tam, so then the nizik becomes a partner in this animal. So then when it gores again, so it's not just one owner here. It's because it's partners, you're going to have to split the payment amongst them. So if so says the Gemara, Reisha Rabbi Shmuel, the Reisha of the Mishnah, which is Rabbi Meir, follows Rabbi Shmuel's opinion. And the Sefer, Rabbi Akiva, the Sefer of the Mishnah follows Rabbi Akiva's opinion. So even though this is not like a usual case where you have a Stam Mishnah and you're dividing the Stam Mishnah in two opinions, over here you have Rabbi Meir and Rabbi Shimon, so it's obviously two different opinions, but still the Gemara does not want to say that it should be the same machlokes as Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Shmuel that we already had before. If it's the same machlokes, we had that machlokes already mentioned before. Why is this Tana of the Mishnah over here saying this machlokes again, Rabbi Meir and Rabbi Shimon, which is basically playing out the same exact machlokes of Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Shmuel? Amri, so the yeshiva students answered and said, yeah, that's in fact true. That's the pshat here. That the Reish is Rabbi Meir's opinion is Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Shimon is Rabbi Shmuel. The Amalei Shmuel Rav Yehuda, we find similar. We had this before in the Masechta. Shmuel told Rav Yehuda when he was trying to figure out two parts of a Mishnah, and he said to him, "Shinana, sharp one." Rav Yehuda, which was very sharp in his learning, Shvaik Masnisin, leave the Mishnah. Don't try to figure out that it should be all one Tana. V'sab Asroi, follow what I tell you. Reisha Rabbi Shmuel, the Sefer Rabbi Akiva. The Reisha follows Rabbi Shmuel, and the Sefer follows Rabbi Akiva. That's the pshat in this Mishnah. The Gemara Tanan Hossam. The Gemara begins a new subject here, which will be related to our Mishnah. So we learned later in the Masechta, Hatekei Lachavere, a person that either banged at a person's ear or blew into a person's ear with a large sound, and he embarrassed him, or he could be also caused damages. He made him deaf, and other things that he caused him. So here, this Mishnah discusses the amount of payment for not for the damages, for the embarrassment. How much does he have to pay him for the embarrassment of this? He has to pay him a sela for this embarrassment, besides the other damages that he has to pay. Rabbi Yudah says, Rabbi Yossi Glili, in the name of Rabbi Yossi Glili, mana, that he has to pay a mana, which is much more than that. He has to pay a full mana for these damages. Okay, so the Gemara here we'll discuss exactly what's the amount of a sela. How much out of a money, which is 100 zuz, how much is a sela? It depends how you evaluate a sela. That's what the Gemara is going to discuss here. So Ahu Gavra, there was a story with a person, that he did this, that he blew or banged by a person's ear and he embarrassed him. Shalcher Rav Tuvia bar Masna lekamed Rav Yosef. So Rav Tuvia bar Masna sent to ask Rav Yosef about the opinion of the Tana Kama, of that mission that we just said, that you pay a sela. So he asked him, sela tzuri tanan, or sela medina tanan. The Tana Kama that said that you pay a sela, what kind of a sela is this? Is it a sela tzuri or a sela medina? What's the difference between a sela tzuri and sela medina? So first of all, physically, they're not the same kind of coin. Sela tzuri was a much more expensive coin. It was made from pure silver. The sela tzuri, sela medina, that is, was a sela that was used in the country, but it was made out of a lot of, mixed in with a lot of copper in it. So it wasn't the same kind of a sela. So the question is, what kind of a sela over here is it? And Rashi over here says also, the main thing here is, the sela tzuri has the value of 4 zuz. The sela medina is an eighth of that. So the sela medina is only worth a half a dinner. Right? A half a zuz, which is a half a dinner. Dinner and zuz is the same thing. Okay, so it's only worth a half a zuz. Okay? So now says the Gemara, maybe we could prove this from what it says in our Mishnah. Why? Because in our Mishnah we learned, sorry, where am I? No, I went, read it together again. His question was, Sela Tzuri Tanan or Sela Medina Tanan? So Amalei, so Rav Yosef answered, Tanisua, we could prove this based on what it says in our Mishnah. What does it say in our Mishnah? The case was, one person was damaged, second person, a third person was damaged. And what did it say in our Mishnah? In the last case where 3 people were damaged, that the Shnayim or Rishayim dinner zov, that the first 2 partners here, they end up, when this ox damaged, so they had a partnership of 50 at that point. So then, when they damaged, they end up with half of that, which is a dinner zov, they only get 25. Now, v'yisol kedaitoch, Tani Tana, Sela Medina, if you're going to say that the Tana of our Mishnah, when he speaks about a Sela, what kind of a Sela is he talking about? He's talking about a Sela Medina. Now, how much is a Sela Medina? So the Sela Medina is a half a dinner or a half a zuz. If so, Niflig, Venisni, at today's of a Sela. If the Tana of the Mishnah could then go to the next case. What happened if it damaged a 4th time? So now the owner that owned originally 25 is going to get half of that, which is going to be, if you divide 25, it means each one is going to get 12 and a half. So why didn't the Tana say another case, which would be 12 and a sela? Okay, so now Rashi explains the reason why the Gemara, what the Gemara really means to ask is that if you say that it's a sela tzuri, so then it would mean that you would have to say that he gets only a half a dinner. Now, the Tana in the Mishnah here, when it says the payments and the way you divide these payments, it doesn't go to a case where the person that gets paid only gets half. Because the Tana, that we can understand, the Tana didn't want to say another case where he would be mentioning half a coins. But if you're going to say it's a Sela Medina, so the Sela Medina is a half a zuz or a half a dinner. So then he could say, Treser, Vesela, and he doesn't have to talk about half coins. The Sela is that half a coin. So why did the Tana not say another case where the next, you further divide the 25 to 12 and a Sela? So you can say another case without talking about half coins. Just like the ratio of the Mishnah. The ratio of the Mishnah also spoke about Arba v'chamisha shvarim 4 or 5 times. In the Sefer of the Mishnah, it only talks about 3. Why doesn't the Tana go to the next situation? So the Gemara explains, Amalei says, no, you can't prove this from here. Tana kiruchla leisne v'leizel, does the Tana like a peddler have to go and say another case and another case? So the fact that the Tana doesn't say a further case is not proof that it's talking dafka about Sela Tzuri. There's no right from here. So the Gemara says, Mai havi Allah. What's the answer to this question? Whenever it says in the Mishnah the word Sela, does the Sela of the Mishnah mean a Sela Tzuri, the more expensive coin, or a cheaper coin, the Sela Medina? So Pashtua Mehadam Rav Yudam Rav, they answered it based on what Rav said, Kol Kesef Am B'Teira. Anytime it says in the Teira, the expression of the word Kesef, for example, by Ma'aseh Sheni, it says you have to redeem with Kesef. What does the Kesef mean there? Kesef Tzuri. You have to use Kesef Tzuri, which is the pure silver coins. V'shal Divreyem Kesef Medina. Anytime in the Mishnah it says that you pay Kesef, you pay a Sela, it means the Sela Medina, which is mixed in with copper, has much less value. Amaleahu Gavre. So there was a person that said, so this person also he damaged, and he had to pay for the baishas that he caused. So he said, since what I have to pay is just the value of a half a zuz, loy bina, I don't want to pay just this half a zuz. Neisvei laniyim. I don't want it. Rather, the person that got embarrassed. He said he doesn't want it. He's not interested in it. He said, neisvei laniyim. Give it to the poor people. I have such a little payment, to give it away to the poor people. Hadam alei neisvei ali. Then he changed his mind. Then he said, no, give it to me. Ezel ve'ivri bein nafshoy. Let me go and use it for myself, heal myself with it. So he changed his mind. Amalei Rav Yosef. So Rav Yosef said, Kvar zocha be'aniyim. It's too late. The aniyim were already zeichen this. Once you gave it up, you told me. Rav Yosef said, you told me that you should give it away to poor people. So Rav Yosef himself, Rashi here brings, the Gemara later says, that Rav Yosef himself was the Gabbai Tzedakah for the poor people. So the moment he told Rav Yosef, forget it, keep the money, give it for the poor people, Rav Yosef was zeich in it as the Gabbai for the poor people. Even though there were no poor people over here to be zeich in this, Anan, Yad Aniyim Anan. The Bezdin, or Rav Yosef in this case, he was the Gabbai of Daniyim, and therefore he was zeich in it for the poor people, and he can't take it back. And he brings a similar case, the Amar of Yudam Shmuel, Yisaimim, when it comes to Yisaimim, so if they are owed money, so it's usually when it comes to the time of Shemitah, so you have to make a prusbul in order that the loan should not get absolved. And what do you do with a prusbul? You give over the loan to a bezdin, and bezdin is allowed to collect the money. An individual can't collect the money after yovel, but you give it over to the bezdin. But the yisaimim don't need a prosbul, and it's richim prosbul. Why not? Because the bezdin appoints a caretaker to take care of all the possessions of the yisaimim. So it's the shliach of the bezdin. It all belongs to the bezdin, and they collect from these for the yisaimim. V'chein tani rami bachama yisaimim and it's richim prosbul. The Yisraelim don't need any prosbul because Rav Gamliel of Beis Dinai, Rav Gamliel and his bezdin in his times or in any times, whoever it is, they are the fathers of the Yisraelim, and therefore they're collecting the loan, so nobody else has to. You don't have to make any prosbul for this. Just finish off to the Mishnah. The Gemara brings another story about this the payment for embarrassment for Baishes. Chanan Bisha Takalela Hugavra. This individual by the name of Chanan Bisha also blew into a person's ear and caused him embarrassment. Asla Kamed Rav Huna, they came to Rav Huna to ask him about the payment for this. Amalei Zil Havoy Palga Dezuzah. You have to pay him a half a zuz for this payment. So Havale Zuzah Makkah. So this Chanan Bisha had this coin, but it was a zuz, it was a full zuz. He only had to pay a half a zuz, but he had a coin which was a full zuz, but it was rubbed out. It wasn't a good quality zuz, and he was trying to get change for it. He was trying to give it to someone to get change. He tried to exchange it with someone to get a half a zuz to pay, and he couldn't get a payment. So what did he do? So he embarrassed him again a second time, and now so then he gave him this full coin, this full zuz for the payment. Interesting, the Gemara brings the story. The Gemara is bringing the story. It's bringing the story just to prove that we pass like the opinion that says that you have to pay a seller, which is this zuz.